What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Over Yourself podcast. Today, I'm joined live in the studio with a good friend of mine, Ben Kimball. Ben and I have known each other for a little over a year now, year and a half?
Yeah.
Something like that. We are both a part of the SEED program at Brigham Young University. It's basically anybody at BYU who has an operating business that has shown significant growth and revenue. So Ben, he has been a part of that club for about that year and a half now. I'm finishing up on my time here at BYU, and so I'm actually about to leave the club, which is kind of sad, man. It's a sad moment when
It's tragic.
It is. I've been a part of the club. It's what kept me going to BYU for the past 4 years. So it feels a little weird to finally be saying I'm gone. But anyways, Ben, I wanted to jump on this podcast as part of our Young Founder series, helping young entrepreneurs figure out what they want to do with their lives and their businesses. So one day they can get over themselves and give back to their communities and their time and talents and everything in between. So a little bit about Ben here. He is a 22-year-old entrepreneur from Farmington, Utah, currently studying business at BYU. He runs a social media content creation brand called Custom Adventurist, which is going to be the main topic behind today's episode, which generates over 100 million views across all platforms each month. That's not all time. That is each month. So Ben, super happy to have you here on the show, not only as a friend, but also somebody who can drop a lot of insights behind your content creation strategies, how you've grown on social media, as well as YouTube. And that's going to be the main focus for today's episode, everybody. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Ben, thanks for joining us, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, I've known you, as mentioned, about a year and a half now. Tell me what got you into YouTube to start. Everyone growing up always says, I want to be a YouTuber, at least our generation, right? Maybe not. I'd say maybe the cutoff to that is 30 plus years old at this point. But anyone who's younger than 30 at some point in your life, you looked at a camera and you said, I can use that camera and I'm going to be a YouTuber. So what got you into it?
I mean, I used to make, as a kid, I really liked stop motion videos. I used to make stop motion videos like Legos.
Okay.
So kind of that same deal where I was like, I want to be a YouTuber, all these things, right? Made a couple of videos, never really worked out. But eventually it got to a point where I would see these content creators get like free stuff, basically. And I was like, bro, I want free stuff. And I would watch all these guys and like, even like small content creators, I would see that they would get stuff. And I'm like, why can't I do it? And so it took me a while to get to that point where I got anything for free, but like that's kind of what sparked it all, and then it's kind of developed since then.
Okay. And how old were you when you had kind of this striking motivation that you wanted free junk and tchotchkes?
It was like probably like 15 or 16. It
Okay.
was like the beginning of high school.
So you're in high school, you enjoy watching at the time, what, just YouTube? What was your thing that you enjoyed?
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook?
I was obsessed with YouTube, honestly.
Okay.
I would watch YouTube videos so much, like MKBHD, Mr. Who's the Boss, Unbox Therapy, all those guys. I would binge watch their stuff like nobody's business.
And so you saw these other content creators, and I don't know those channels specifically. Were they your age? Were they a lot older? Tell me a little bit about them.
They're older guys, like like Unbox Therapy is my primary guy. He was probably like 30, 40 years old, but
Okay.
he would just basically review products that would come to his channel, but people would always send it to him. And I was just like, bro, why can't I get people to send me stuff, basically?
And so when you were going back and watching these, I really want to dissect your mindset here, and then we can jump more into the business aspect. Once again, everybody our age or younger at some point in their life says, hey, I want to be a YouTuber. And I think it's because number one, the fame status behind it. Number two, there's a lot of money to be had, which we're going to talk about in this episode on kind of some of the financial aspects. But then there's also just kind of the fun factor of like, hey, I can set up a little camera right here in a studio or go out and about and start recording and potentially strike it one day. Obviously, that is very dumbed down. As a podcast host, I know it is not that simple. But what was your main intentions at a younger age besides just the free gifts you can get? Like, did you see it growing to the point where it's at today? Now, what, almost 10 years later? Not quite 10 years, about 8 years later.
Yeah. So like I as a kid, I knew that it was always something I wanted to pursue, but it started to get more real to me when I first started making like some money on it, because that's when I was like, huh. And I was looking at the quantity, and I was like, this could actually be something, and it was really fun to me. That's what I liked about it the most too. It's like, it just doesn't feel like a job. It feels like I'm screwing around with the camera, yelling at it, and people are watching it. And so I don't know.
And when you felt that way, I mean, you always hear the age old saying of whatever you do for work, make it feel like it's not like you're working.
Hmm.
Do you still feel like that, having been going on this channel for how many years is it now? About 8 years?
7.
7 years. Okay.
Yeah. So it sometimes, like, there's moments where it feels like it, where it's like, well, it's just a grind. You just got to do it. But like then there's the other moments where I like really, it's like it's something I really want to film, and then it's just doing it is so fun. Like you're filming it and you're like, this is just awesome. And then you're editing, you're like,
Not so awesome.
well, I mean, actually, I really like the editing
Oh, good
process.
for you. I hate that's like my least favorite thing ever. That was when the podcast got going. That was like the first thing that I was like, all right, I need to
Yeah.
have somebody help me with this.
Yeah. No, I just like the part where I could add funny little Easter eggs and like things that like small people would notice and they would comment about it. And I'm like, oh, this will be funny. This will be funny. So I loved doing that. It's always so fun.
So let's take a dive. You figured out what you wanted to do from a very young age. This is something that you and me resonated with a lot. We were talking about this about a month and a half ago. You're currently at Brigham Young University. You're a student here. And I was kind of divulging to you how annoying it is sometimes when I have my startup interval that's absolutely going amazing. And sometimes people just don't understand that you can be a young founder and start something that could be your full-time career. And I remember you were specifically asking me about that. And we had a similar experience where so many people look at you and they say, all right, Ben, what do you want to do after you graduate? What are you studying? And then you go, well, I'm going to work on YouTube. And I feel like that's becoming a little bit more common, where it's not so much of a like, oh my gosh, what is this guy doing? But at the same time, there's still a little bit of a stigma behind it. So tell me your thoughts on how you feel about when people ask you that.
It's definitely interesting. Like, I think there's a certain crowd, it's usually older people who don't fully comprehend kind of how it all works. And they're kind of just like, oh, yeah, so when are you going to go be an accountant or something like that? And you're like, well, actually, make more than an accountant, and my job is way more fun. So why would I do that? But like, it's hard for them to understand it because it's just like they think it's this thing that's just like a fluke, and it's over with, like after one day.
So what has been your long-term goals with the channel? And then we'll dive into some of the kind of financial side of it, why it's beautiful, some of the hardships behind it.
Yeah, honestly, I really want to get to 1 million subscribers. Like goals wise, I think just continuing to make content. Like my goal this year is just to make content every day. And I think when I control the inputs of my videos, that's when the outputs start to bring more results in a way. And so I like, that's the way I see it. Like, it doesn't matter if my videos get like 20 views, like I'm going to keep making a video the next day, and maybe the next day I'll get another one, like a ton of views. And that's what I've seen so far.
Okay.
Like, as long as you're just consistently posting, that the results will follow.
How much of it's kind of a grind set, right? At the very, very early stage, if you can remember back, because your channel also kind of had a little bit of a hiatus because you ended up serving a LDS mission. You're gone from it for 2 years. What was the grind set like, if you can picture back in the early days when you had just started the account? I think I mentioned this, Custom Adventurist. You just started the YouTube channel. You put out your first form of content, and then I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I bet maybe less than 100 views on the first episode.
Friggin' 0 views.
So what was your mentality then when you're diving into it? And I feel like this is why so many people quit, not just in content creation, but with any goal. Online, it makes it seem so easy to get going. We'll give the example of working out, right? You see these fitness influencers and you think, all right, if I go to the gym for a week, I'm going to have these massive muscles, or I'm going to be super fit. But obviously there's a lot more into it. So what was your feelings behind that first video going out and nothing came of it?
I don't exactly remember my exact thoughts, but I do just remember like telling myself that if I didn't quit, then I wouldn't fail. Like as like my first, I think I had like maybe 7 subscribers, and I'd posted like 20 videos. Like more videos than subscribers. Like views is probably like 50 on all of that. And like, and people would even make fun of me at school too for like having my channel. They would find out about it and they'd be like, they'd kind of like bully me in a way. And I was just like, you'll see eventually. And I mean, in a way, that's kind of how it feels now. But I remember just wanting to do it, honestly. Like, I just wanted to do it, and I knew that eventually, if I just kept going, it would work out.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard similar stories. I mean, the most famous one is Mr. Beast, right? I just listened to a podcast where he was on Diary of a CEO. I'll link that in the episode description here. But inside of that episode, he was basically talking about his early days of starting YouTube. And he also mentioned this on My First Million, another good episode he did there. But here he is, a young kid who just wants to make YouTube videos. He didn't even necessarily see like a monetary return. Like he just realized he really liked looking at a camera and making fun videos and putting little Easter eggs, like you mentioned it, and doing fun content. And his mom and everyone else in his life thought he was absolutely insane, and they wanted him to take kind of the traditional path, but he kept with it. And obviously everyone in the world knows his name now. What interests me so much about his story too, I just learned this, is on Diary of a CEO, he said he pays himself a salary, but like on asset wise, he is a billionaire. But like liquid, he isn't even close to that because he invests everything back into his companies, which is really interesting to me. Anyways, I see a similarity with in the content creation space specifically and entrepreneurship as a whole, where a lot of early viewers, in this case, friends, family, peers, they'll look at you and think you're making a huge mistake or it's not going to work out. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to have that mentality of, no, I am going to make this happen. I'm going to prove it to you. What kind of motivation did that leave you towards? Because it's not easy. Like you mentioned, you got played a little bit when you were younger. I'm sure people still question what's going on. Like, what kept you going besides the love of the game? Or was it just that?
I think that, I don't know. I think I really liked doing it, and I was dead set on doing it. And so it was like when people would say things, like it wouldn't really bother me very much. I was just kind of like, I had this like really ruthless mentality of like you're a hater, great, that doesn't matter to me, and I'm just gonna keep going. And so I think that at the core, I just had that desire that I wanted it to work out, and so I just didn't really care what other people thought.
Dude, and I think you got to highlight that more too. It seems like such a simple answer, but at the end of the day, it's not simple at all. Like when you have people trying to pull you away from, at the time it was your dream, it still is your dream. When you have people trying to pull that away from you, it stings a little bit. And if you use it appropriately, it can light a little fire under your belly and make you actually work harder for it. Let's jump now. As mentioned, you're, correct me again, 7 years, right? Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
So 7 years, you're into this process. The channel's growing well. You just surpassed 100,000 subscribers. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm at 120K right now.
120K. So I feel like you've slowly been seeing the ramp up. Just a month and a half ago, you hit 100,000. Now you're already at 120 since we last talked about it. What's the ramp up process been in the past couple months that you've seen successful?
Yeah, I think so before my mission, everything was long form content and there wasn't a ton of short stuff. I'd done a little bit, but I hadn't really invested a lot of time in it. But since I got home, I understood that kind of like social media had changed in a way, and it's more focused on like short form content. So I started posting 3 shorts a day last October in Ryan Cook's class. And so I started posting 3 shorts a day. And since then, like things have just absolutely spiked. And that's like caused dramatic change in my channel and my social medias.
That's awesome. 3 times a day. Tell us, I really want to start diving into the actual nitty gritty of running a channel, because you're not just doing YouTube anymore. You have channels on Instagram, on TikTok, YouTube Shorts. What is the overall process trying to pump out 3 videos, not long form, short form?
Yeah.
What's the process like on day in and day out?
Like for me, it's I've got it down pretty dialed in because I've done it for so many days in a row now. But basically, like it comes down to I'll sit there and I'll literally like force myself to scroll for like 30 minutes or not 30 minutes, like maybe like 15, 20 minutes. And I just figure out what's kind of going viral in my niche that day. And I write down the videos that I want to make for the day. And then from there, I take like whatever the audios or like the music from those videos that have gone viral. And then I'll basically just make those videos in my own way, right? So maybe there's like one day there's like it's an iPhone like stability test or whatever, right? And they're comparing it to an Android phone. And so I'll take that and maybe I'll be like, okay, I'll do the same exact test in my own little way, but I'll compare it to a fake iPhone. And so then I just basically iterate on other things that had gone viral already. And then I'd post that. And that's the type of stuff that I've seen the best results with.
So dive into that a little bit. I guess we haven't really spoken much on your actual, what is the business? What is the content you're producing? What do you post on Custom Adventurist?
So I do primarily like tech reviews. So like phones, watches, headphones are my main kind of niche. And then I do a lot of fake versus real as well. So like I'll compare a fake iPhone to a real one. It's a really interesting, it's a really intriguing thing to me. That's why I like it. And I used to be like obsessed with them like a little as I was younger. But it's like basically just comparing these type of devices and showing that. And so a lot of my shorts have been around that same niche.
Okay. So you go out and you pump out this content, 3 videos a day. I'm assuming there was a ramp up period for that too when you first started doing the 3 whole videos a day in October of was that October 2024?
Yeah.
Was that to me pumping out 3 videos a day seems like a heck of a ton of work, but for you since your full-time job, I don't know, was it easy to get into? Was it hard?
At first it was like it was like hard because there's a lot of mental effort going into it. And so it's like you'd have to like formulate every video and you have to do 3. And so it's like a lot. But eventually, once you get kind of like the formula down, like it would probably take me an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to do all 3 of the shorts like every day now. So it's like,
Does that include editing, scripting, filming, everything?
Posted. Yep. I literally, my goal was I would get my phone, I'd put my stopwatch on there and I said, I'm going to get all this done in 1 hour. And then I just go crazy. And then I was usually able to do it.
That's awesome. What is looking now, what has been the growth since you started doing the 3 videos a day since October? Is that where you really started to see things ramp up or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think like I've had spikes in the past with long videos, but not as much recently. And so I started doing more of the shorts. And then right as I started doing shorts, let's see. So it was weird because like on Instagram, I got a ton of views as I started because my Instagram was basically dead. And so I grew it from like 0. And so got a ton of views. And then all of a sudden my TikTok and my YouTube shorts started to ramp up too. It was like probably a month after posting consistently for 3 days. Like the month is when they actually started getting like past 1,000 views.
So looking now, if you have had that ramp up period over the past couple months, do you feel like the strategy is stick with what you're doing, keep posting 3 videos a day, finding out what's trending and post the shorts on it and then make long form content after the fact? Or what's the strategy for growth? You hit the 100,000 subscribers. What's going to push you to 1 million subscribers next?
Yeah, absolutely. I think consistency also. Yeah. Just like keep doing the 3 shorts a day and then the long videos. And so kind of with that, I've added some people on my team to help me make more content. And that way I can almost like make my business run a little bit without me fully running everything. And so I think just keep making content, honestly.
That's great. What is your guys' long-term plan for Custom Adventurist? Is it always going to be content? Do you ever feel like you're going to divulge into other areas as well? Or is it always just going to be traditional long form and short form content?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of hard to know, but I would like, I mean, it's what I like to do. It's just fun. And so like, I think that I want to keep doing it because I love reviewing like the cutting edge of technology. And so I think I'll always like do it. I would like to branch into other avenues, obviously, but I think that'll be like a core part of what I do like on a daily basis, I think.
I like that. Now going forward, I want to jump into financials for here for a minute and kind of express what the opportunities of content creation can actually go forward with. And I preface this, I'm a very, very strong proponent in that in the next 5, 10, 15 years, a lot of the typical jobs that we see aren't going to look very similar just because of the rise of AI inside of our workforce. With that being said, I feel like content creation, it already has made an effect. Artificial intelligence has already made a play inside of that space. But one thing that it won't necessarily be able to clone specifically is very, very organic content creation from the creator themselves. I feel like in the next 5 to 15 years, the organic creator, Ben, or whatever creator that you follow is going to have a lasting impact for a lot of these viewers because it's going to be something authentic where a lot of things aren't authentic anymore. And so diving in, I want to showcase to a lot of the listeners here on the Get Over Yourself podcast, what is the kind of career you could expect running a YouTube channel? And if you could break that down into different milestones between kind of when you're first getting started, maybe hit your first 10,000 subscribers to 50,000 to 100,000 to what you're projecting when you hit 500,000, 1 million and a surplus of subscribers there.
So like you're asking like how much like money or like what? Like
the entire financial aspect.
Yeah. I think that with my channel, like it's just as I continue to post consistently, I'll continue to get more sponsors and just keep getting ad revenue basically. And so I think that as the channel continues to grow, it's just going to keep going. It's not like people are just going to just stop sponsoring you, stop watching the videos. Like, I don't think that it'll just stop at one point unless like the internet's deleted.
Which
So
probably isn't going to happen, right?
which I hope doesn't happen, which was a little scary when TikTok went down for a second.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. So dive into the financials then. What did it look like when you're at the 20,000 subscribers versus 50,000 versus where you're at now? And where do you think it's going to go when you hit 1 million subscribers?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So like when I was at 20,000, I think my primary sources of income were the YouTube AdSense, and then also a little bit of affiliate sponsors stuff. And so those are,
break those down too for anyone out there who doesn't know the two aspects.
Yeah. So like the YouTube AdSense is basically like you get paid anytime somebody watches a video, right? Advertisers are paying to put their ad in front of your video. And so then every time someone watches it, they're like basically paying for that, and you get a portion of what the person pays to YouTube to like incentivize creators. And then like affiliate commission is basically, I'll talk about a product in my video, and then if anybody, I'll link it in the description. If anybody buys through that link, I'll take a commission of that.
And then other forms are paid promotion of products, correct?
Yep.
Somebody sends you a drone or an iPhone or whatever to review, you review it, and you make money to review that product.
Yep.
So knowing that now, dive back in 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. What does cash actually look like? If I was starting a YouTube channel tomorrow, what are some of the kind of returns I could expect to be seeing? Obviously not on day one, but after the channel's grown a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's huge opportunity. Like especially in the commission space, like if you can commission, do like it doesn't even, I don't even think it matters how many followers you have anymore. I think on shorts with the algorithm is as long as you can make good content, it'll give you good returns. So like I've seen like that you can make a lot of money through like, especially like on TikTok, they have a really good commission system. And so like I remember I made a video that got like DK views, and it made me like $1,000 in like overnight. And so like if you were to get 1 million views on a commission video, you'd probably make a lot of money. So like I don't think that subscribers are a huge thing anymore. I mean, it's obviously it's like a clout thing, it's like a credibility thing, but like that does not constitute views anymore, I don't think.
It does help for the brand deals themselves though, right? Obviously some companies aren't going to work with somebody unless they have X amount of subscribers or followers, because it puts them in a broader audience. So once again, if I was going and I started a channel today, and let's say I was getting a decent amount of views, and maybe you could break this down if you're comfortable with it, with some of your own financials, what were some of the payouts that you saw in different growth stages of running Custom Adventurist?
Yeah, I think so. It's dependent on the views, but like when I was a smaller channel, it would probably be anywhere like I would probably make $1,500 a month or something like that, which wasn't bad by any means. But as it's continued to grow, and with the different sources of income, it can all kind of like combine together to be a bigger sum. So I think when it was smaller, I did have good advertisers before, and so I had a lot of high commission products, and I would make a lot more in those months. But some of them fall off, and then you go on to other things. So it's just kind of like
seasonality.
Seasonal, yeah, certainly. And
then what as your channel grew, you went from around $1,000 a month, and then it kind of grew into what?
Yeah, so like right now I think this month we're on track to do 2K on YouTube ad revenue, about 3K on TikTok ads, and then sponsorships probably another 4 to 5. So a total of like 10 in total. And that's just like I've just barely got someone that'll handle all of my sponsorships for me, which is the best idea I've ever done, because it was a pain for me and it was like a lot of money I left on the table. Now that I've been able to delegate some of the things, it's been able to bring a lot more, I guess, money to the table.
That's great. Now you see some of these flashy buzz terms, and the reason why I wanted to kind of nitpick into that is, once again, on social media, people make it seem like you start a channel, you get 1,000 views, and all of a sudden you're a millionaire overnight. Those kind of videos drive me nuts because it's not even close. Like your business is going to pull in around $10,000. How many hours you do grind, and there's a lot that goes behind this. Ben shares we're at a co-working space, so we have an office here, and he's on the other side of the wall from us. So see him in here every single day. How hard he's working for this. But how many hours would you say you put in on any given month, or you could break that down by week as well?
Ooh, let's see. So I probably work on average, 10 times, probably like 60 to 70 hours a week on it. And then, so like whatever that translates to month wise. But yeah, I mean, like for me, it doesn't feel like work. Like it just feels like I'm making videos. I feel like I'm just having fun. Whereas like, so it can seem like a long time, but like honestly, I'd prefer to be in here making videos than to like screwing around with my friends half the time. And so that's why I like it.
Dude, and that's why I want to showcase you, especially you are a college student. You got 2 years till you graduate, and you've already got a business that's pulling in $10,000 a month, and that number is about to be increase significantly once you just hire this person to manage all your brand sponsorships. I'd say it's very realistic and safe to say by the end of your college experience, you're going to be pulling in around $50,000 to $60,000 a month on the low end. I would be very confident to say that, knowing you and your work ethic, and especially as you grow, those deals only get bigger and the commissions only get bigger as you grow. And so maybe that's even an understatement. If you were to look at somebody right now, a founder out there who is still trying to find their niche, still trying to find their gig, and you were to try and persuade them into content creation, what would your sales pitch be for them?
I would say just like, I think one thing is it gives you a lot of, it's like counterintuitive, but it gives you a lot of freedom. You can work from wherever you want, which I think is really cool. Like, for example, me, this summer, I'm going to go and live in Europe and make all my videos from there. And so I think that type of freedom, I think you can do that with a lot of other things, but that's definitely one thing that content creation has given me, is freedom to pick my own time, my own hours, and like, yeah, I think freedom in general. And then you also just like get to do what you want. Like, you just get to have fun. Like, I have my girlfriend who's starting an account with baking. She like loves baking. And so she just wants to do it all day. And so she's making content and she's able to monetize from that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Turn something that you're already passionate about. In your case, it was techie products. It was reviewing them. It was getting these random little knockoffs in your hands and turn it into a little video that you can post out there. It's something you already probably would be doing, even if you weren't recording, and then just turn it into something that you're passionate about and hit record and upload it. And there it is. I really do think that authenticity is what makes creators differ from the ones that fail as well. You could tell when somebody actually is passionate about what they were doing. Even behind the camera lens, you can always tell if somebody actually cares about what they're posting, or if they're posting it simply just to promote a product or push something out there. So what's kept you motivated over time? I know you don't consider this a job. I know you don't consider it like it's a job, but not work. There are tough days though. And I want you to, once again, picture you're talking right now to that young founder who's maybe interested in starting content, and they see the potential upside, but there's also a lot of hardship. There's a lot of downsides. It takes a very long time to grow. What would you tell that founder?
I think just recognizing that it's worth it. Like, it may be brutal, and there's going to be days when your videos just absolutely are trash and they just get no views, even though you put a lot of time into it. But you got to recognize that it's just like a lottery, basically. Like, you're making these videos and you never know when that one's going to blow up and just change the course of your business, your like everything. Like, you just have to keep making videos. Like, if you don't, that's when you fail. Like, literally, if you stop making videos, you failed. And so I think just remembering that there's always another day, there's always another attempt. You just have to keep going, and it'll be there. Like, the success is there. You just have to put in the hours.
I love that. Going back one more time, if you're talking to this person who's trying to get started, what would be your biggest recommendation on getting started? Be that recording tips, how to make your first video. What is it kind of your steps 1 through 5 to get somebody off the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that focusing on shorts primarily to start is a good way to start. And also just figuring out what your niche is, what you want to focus your videos on, because your channel is going to have to be kind of like a niche. It's just the way it works. And so I'd say decide what you're focusing on. And then from there, literally just use CapCut and just figure out what other people in your space are doing and just do similar stuff to them. If you don't like, I guess just figure out the videos that you like, and then just basically, in a way, not recreate, but like
put them into your own fashion. Use the same growth strategies, like you said earlier, same music, relatively similar concepts, but put your own spin on it.
Because like, if their video is getting 1 million views, then the likelihood that yours is, and it's really similar to, then it probably will get 1 million views too.
I love it. I love it. As we're closing up here, Ben, on today's episode of Get Over Yourself podcast, any last minute advice you would give somebody who's interested in content, but maybe not willing to take the full swing, to try and persuade them into this journey?
Yeah. I mean, the evidence is there. Like, you can do it. Like, if you don't be afraid of what other people think, and just do it. Just do it.
What would your strategy be? Why should somebody not do it? That's maybe a better way of looking at it. Why would you recommend somebody not going down the content route?
I'd say, like, maybe if you don't want your face to be on camera necessarily, like, you don't want to be in the spotlight, but in a way you can still do that with faceless channels. But like, I don't know. I don't know why people wouldn't want to. Like, I try to persuade as many people as I can to do it because there's just so much potential there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the whole industry is going towards, is more content creation.
I like it. I like it. Well, final question I have for you. This is how I like ending every episode of the Get Over Yourself podcast. So I started this show not only as a way to hopefully grow my business, but at the same time, I think a lot of founders lose sight once they get larger of what really brought them to success, their roots, and another way of putting it. And I feel like if we could go back to the simplicity of, I started a business to help somebody. In your case, you started a business, and what you're doing to help other people is bringing them joy through the content you produce, and I'm giving them more insights on tech. Obviously, here at Interval, what we're doing is helping business owners who have cash flow issues. If they have customers who owe money, we help them collect that money so they can run payroll, so their business can continue. And I think if we keep those core principles alive, that's what really drives entrepreneurship and making sure our customers are always valued the most. But at some point, a lot of entrepreneurs lose sight of that. And so here on the Get Over Yourself podcast, the whole point is to, as the title suggests, get over yourself, get over everything that you need inside of your life and pump it back into the community. Hopefully, if you're doing things right, offer your time, money, talents, everything you can back to those around you. So what does the term get over yourself mean to you? And how do you think you could apply that into your life as your business continues to grow?
Yeah. I think that just remembering kind of like why you're doing it, and not necessarily like not selling out in a way. And I think just remembering God, honestly, and just remembering that He is the source of all of your success, basically. And I think that, and then just giving back when you can, like always, like once you get to that point of success, just like to help those around you as well, and to share the love, basically.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Ben, we appreciate you for joining. Guys, if you're interested in checking out Ben's channel, I'm going to link that in the episode description below. I'll link his TikTok, his Instagram, and his YouTube channel, so you can go make sure and hit subscribe over there and check out his videos. As always, it would mean the world to me if you share this episode with a friend. That is my entire marketing strategy, is purely from referral. So if you guys know of anyone who would benefit from hearing today's conversation, make sure to send it over to them so they can be a listener of the Get Over Yourself podcast as well.